So the morning light is pretty bright here, but this is a decent place to start. So this is a representation of the first tractor that I bought. It's a high arch 275. My brother John owns a pair of these now. I sold him the first one that I had bought, and this tractor started out in Missouri. My brother James had bought it, and now brother James has sold it to brother John. So brother John actually has 3 high arch tractors now, a pair of 275s and a 175. But this was the first model of tractor that I owned, and the 275 had enough power, you know, that you could bale with it, and you could plant with it, and you could do about every 6-row job with it. Let me see if... So anyway, I had an interruption there, guys, but this is brother James's 275 that he sold to John. This is a straight 8-speed. There's your straight 8, your 4-speed transmission with no multi-power. Pretty good tractors, and if you had to do everything with just one tractor, this would be the tractor that you would choose. Okay guys, so this is the next tractor in this series, the 471. So the 471, I'm kind of a gearhead, you know, and I love my Massey Fergusons. So this was the tractor that replaced the 275. This tractor is a straight 8-speed, but it has a shuttle, and by the numbers, this motor has more torque than the 275. It's more fuel efficient. It's a better Perkins motor, newer by well, a number of years. This is a 2005 model. But this tractor has the combining valve on it. It has a modern geometry loader that moves faster. It has the front wheel assist. And this is my go-to handy tractor, and it's doing one of its main jobs today. In wintertime it chores for me, but this time of the year it allows me to move hay very quickly. Just throw the tractor on the trailer, go to your site, load your bales, bring them back. So this was the replacement for the 275, and at the time that this tractor came along, brother James and I rode with James. James pulled me because he had a Duramax diesel at that time. But we went to Columbus, Mississippi and bought this tractor. And then coming back, we stopped in Arkansas and we bought the loader and the brackets for it from a nice Massey Ferguson dealer in Arkansas. Anyway, we got a good buy on the Massey Ferguson 471. That was why we went all the way down there. So the previous owner had blown up the pressure relief valve on the 3-point lift. He must have had the tractor in constant pumping and not had the combining valve turned on. Of course, at that time, I don't think the tractor had a combining valve on it. And so when you put that lift sector knob, you know, up into constant pumping, and you don't have a combining valve to relieve the pressure, it just keeps popping the relief valve, and eventually the relief valve will fail and you will have to split the tractor to fix that. So I think that's what happened with this tractor. I think that was what happened with the previous owner, and it was at an international dealer, and that's why I got a good buy on it. And so anyway, very trustworthy tractor, little workhorse. With my bale spear on it, I lift pallets, lift ag bags, but it's just a regular little workhorse. Okay guys, so this is the next tractor in the series. This is my 596. I've showed you this on a video before. I grew up on the 285 being our quote big tractor. And when the opportunity came for this tractor, I jumped on it. That would have been probably 2009. The tractor at that point was just a couple years old, but this tractor, by the numbers, has 20 more horsepower, or 19 more horsepower than the 285, while at the same time getting more fuel efficiency, having greater fuel efficiency. But this tractor and the 471 share the same engine. The difference is that this motor is turboed up, and that 4-cylinder motor, I like that motor. It is a tough, strong pulling 4-cylinder motor. And so this tractor replaced the 285, and obviously you got the cab with it. There was not a whole lot of changes. It has a transmission very similar to the 285. The primary differences with this tractor is its pulling ability and that nice cab. So this was my next tractor. It was my first big tractor. So when we were coming out of hard times in the early 90s, they had started making these tractors in 95. But I remember seeing one of these brand new down at Shuck Implement when we were leaving Lawrence. And I liked the looks of that tractor. At that time, I was a long ways away from these tractors financially. Hadn't bought a farm yet, but it was something to aspire to and dream about. And so I had started my search for a 6000 series Massey. I had started that a long time ago, around 2010 probably. And so I did not really want a 61 series. At that point in time, I wanted a 64 series, which was the quote newest version of the tractor at that time. 2010, they were still making the 64 series. Of course, they had gone to the Tier 3 and the Dyna 6, and they'd made a whole bunch of changes. I did not understand all those changes, but I knew I liked the looks of that tractor. And so about 5 years ago, probably would have been 2015 or 16, I was in a position to buy a big tractor. And so that summer, I drove to Iowa several times to look at tractors. I had a couple dry runs to Iowa. I looked at a 6280, an early 6280. I looked at a 64 series. I can't remember which one that was, but they were out of my price range, and the dealer was not quite ready to make a deal. And then the final trip, and it was later that summer, but by then I was really wanting a big tractor. And I had found a 6480, and it was in northern Iowa, close to Minnesota, and so I hooked up the trailer and I went for a drive. And we got to the dealer first thing in the morning. Deborah went with me, and we looked at that 6480, and you know, it looked good, everything looked good. The dealer gave us the key. We went out to start it and you know, test drive it, see how it worked. And we turned the key, and it had to crank for about 10 seconds before it started. And so that was a red flag to me. And then when the tractor did start, you could see there was significant blow-by out of the engine breather. And so I knew we had a problem. And so we made an offer to the dealer that was substantially less than he wanted, because I knew that it was going to take some engine work to make that tractor right and tight. And The dealer did not want an offer that day, and so we got in our car and our truck and trailer and we drove away. And on our way back, we started searching around on Tractor House, and lo and behold, there was a dealer in Iowa who had a pair of 6180s. And we decided to come back home, deviate back home. I could come up with the towns and name the dealers, but I probably don't need to. Anyway, it was not a Massey dealer, it was a Ford dealer. But this tractor was originally sold by Robinson Implement, Irwin, Iowa, I think. And so, anyway, this was on a Ford dealer's lot. And this tractor was relatively high-hourred. I think it had 6,500 hours at that point, give or take, or maybe it's 6,200. But we came back and we stopped at that dealer. It was 4 in the afternoon. We looked at the tractor and I thought, boy, she's a little bit rough. She didn't look like this at that point in time. And she had a few issues with her. But it was, the motor was right and tight, and the previous owner, you could tell that he used it, but he had not abused it. And so we made an offer and we came home from Iowa that third trip with a tractor, and this was that tractor. And so I have done, obviously I've painted it and overhauled it, put the weights on, put the inner rear weights on. I've done everything I can to try and turn this into a quote big tractor, and it has been a wonderful stopgap for the last 5 years. It has allowed me to get the new field cultivator and pull it, not as fast as I would like, but it has been a big improvement over other tractors. And so we're getting closer to where the story is going to terminate, boys, but we're not quite there yet. So anyway, this tractor has been a good stopgap. The 6180 only has one problem, and that problem is that it rates out at 115 horsepower. And of that 115 horsepower, it puts about 101 of it on the ground, which is a very, very honest tractor. Pound for pound, it will outpull anything in its class range. It does a very good job of translating engine horsepower to ground horsepower. Obviously the radial tires help and what have you, but this tractor was never intended to be a tillage tractor. And so here, several weeks ago, or it was early this spring, my local dealer in Fall City, Nebraska, he was advertising a pair of tractors, a 6497 and a 6495. And by now I have learned that the poor 6180, I'm just flogging his guts out doing the jobs that I do with him. Last fall when we got the grain cart, you hook the grain cart to the 6180 and he pulls it, but boy, he don't get excited. It's all he wants. So this spring, the local Massey dealer, he had a pair of tractors that were the tractor that I was originally looking for. And so I went and did this. So like all of my tractors, guys, there's a story here. I bought the 6495. It was pretty much the tractor that I was always dreaming about. It has the Dynashift. It has the 402 Saisu that is a very, very powerful motor. It pulls, that motor is a very honest motor, and it will pull very well. The pulling problems that we have had in the past, they are over. But anyway, I'll crawl in here a little bit. We have spent the last couple of weeks working the tractor over and doing major interior renovations. The previous owner, it was not super clean and it had not been super taken care of, and we've got our monitor mounting there for the bar that carries the monitors the way I like to carry them, right off that post. But anyway, go ahead and open the door, Jet. So this is the tractor that we got, and it's a tier 2, so there's no def on it. It does have still has the Dynashift. I like that 32-speed transmission. This tractor is new enough that it has some auto drive features, and it has a bunch of other features on it that were not on the 6180. It has an electronic joystick and auto shift, but basically it is a pretty big baseline tractor for Massey Ferguson, and we've done a pretty good job of cleaning it up and making everything on it work again. And so the final part of this story is that this tractor has an issue, and its issue is that there was some metal in the transmission. And so next winter, I'm not really using this tractor right now. Next winter we are going to have to split the tractor, and I've got a good friend, local mechanic, who's going to help me on that. But we're going to split the tractor and figure out what's wrong with the Dynashift. By all accounts, the Dynashift is a pretty much bulletproof transmission. And in talking to my other Massey friends, I have several organic farmer friends who run these tractors. And it's pretty much a bulletproof tractor. And so we have a flaw in the transmission that needs to get fixed. And when we get it fixed, it will become our big tractor. And so that's what's been going on here. One thing I'm not so excited about on this tractor, it's got the tall tires that are taller than me. Where's the size on them? They're 46s. There's the size. I don't know if you can make that out. They're 480, 80, 46s, and so tall, skinny row crop tires. We have taken the duals off, and we have taken off the full rack of weights so that it is ready to go and be split. We're going to have to split it and pull the Dynashift out, but we'll get it done, and when we get done, we will have a nice tractor. So Jet, what do you think about the tractor?
It's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah.
That's good. Better okay than not okay. Thanks, guys.